Well, I hope you're ready to laugh, because today was supposed to be about planning a wedding, and it still is, but my guest today had me in stitches almost the entire time. Hugh Howser has been the go-to expert for celebrity weddings for over 17 years, and his work has been featured in multiple magazines and TV shows. Today, he is here to tell us how we too can have the most fabulous wedding, even if we can't afford the fancy wedding planner. What's the first thing you need to do once you're engaged? Do we even need a planner? How much should we expect to spend? What's in? What's out? How to navigate family dynamics? Do we invite kids to the wedding? And are the bride's parents still expected to foot the bill? Hugh's experience and insight gives us all the information we need with a big side of laughter. And he shares what he's recently started doing on the side, which should come as no surprise. Even if you aren't getting married, I promise this episode will leave you entertained and with a smile on your face. So without further ado, let's get to it. Here's my conversation with Hugh Howser. Welcome to the podcast. Today I have I almost called you Hugh Hefner. Hugh Howser with me on the podcast. Much better than Hugh Hefner. And we're going to talk about wedding planning today and a little bit more. So I'm going to just introduce you first. You are Nashville's go-to expert for celebrity weddings and events with your company, H3 Events, which you started 17 years ago. Your work has been featured on ABC TV, People Magazine, InStyle Magazine, USA Today, and Brides. And today you are going to share with us how we too can have the most fabulous wedding. Did I leave anything out?
You did not. That was great. That was so braggadocious.
Perfect. Well, and I was like, let's start filming because I've already started laughing. So I'm like, okay, let's just get this podcast started.
Well, I look like I carve animals in a woodworking shop, but I'm on vacation and you caught me in the middle of a morning walk.
Where are you?
I'm in Nantucket. It's so beautiful.
Nantucket. I've never been to Nantucket.
Oh, you would die. You would not believe the plane.
I feel like I would die.
The plane that we took over here was unexplainable. It was
it's bad.
Well, yeah, you remember the show Wings growing up?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's the same airport. I think they filmed it here. I'm not sure, but based on that, if not. And it was like a church van with wings. We barely... I don't know how we made it. Was 7,000 degrees in there. I had a huge perm when I got up. I don't know how the pilot saw anything. It was just like... Could
you not have flown like a commercial plane?
I think there is an option, but I started this trip in Boston, and so it's a really quick flight. It was nothing to it, but it was hell on wings. It was hell on wings. It was wild, but it was beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's an unbelievable place. Everyone's gorgeous. Everybody looks presidential, and everybody's got a lot of sun damage and a splotchy forehead and a bleached hair, and everybody, all the old women have Band-Aids on their hands. It's a lot.
From the laser?
Well, the more Band-Aids you have, the richer you are, I decided. More procedures.
More procedures. Yeah. Okay, I like it. Okay, so have you been in wedding planning longer than 17 years, or you've just had your business?
I think this will be the 18th year, so 17. This will roll into the 18th year, but it seems like yesterday. I mean, literally, it's changed so much.
How did you find yourself in wedding? You grew up in Nashville.
I did.
How did you find yourself in wedding planning?
Well, it's really strange. So I have had every job in the world. Literally everything. I sold pharmaceuticals. I worked in what really happened is I worked in a high-end china shop, which is where brides come to register, or like you do.
On brand, yes.
Yes. And so from there, it was kind of a win-win because I would plan weddings and they would get the china business. But what really happened is that I shadowed an event planner and then who did my sister's wedding. And then I started from there, and they said, would you be my business partner? And we started from there. Then she moved away, got married, moved away. And then I started planning by myself, which was a total disaster because I would rather die than bill someone. I just do it for free because creative people cannot
do the books.
No. I had diarrhea. So I didn't want to do it. And so I just prayed, and I got this wonderful business partner named Anita Hogan, who was a big manager in the music business. And a hoot. And so she invested in me, and we started the company, and that's how it all began. And then now currently my business partner bought Anita out about 11 or 12 years ago. Yeah.
And she does all the books.
She does all the books, all logistics, all the important stuff, the brains. I'm just the fluff. It's kind of like, I say it's a marriage because I decorate and she pays for everything.
I like that kind of marriage.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Similar to mine, but I don't know, maybe not.
I don't know how she's put up with me. I don't know how she's done it. I don't know how I've done it to her. But we've had a ball, and it's a yin and yang. It's the whole secret to the whole business, because like a parent can call her about money and important things, and the bride can call me about pretty stuff. So it works out perfectly.
Do most wedding planning businesses have two? Or
no, some just have. Some just have one. And I'm friends with every planner. I'm friends with planners all over the world, actually.
Yeah.
And we all commiserate together and have therapy, and we all have exact same issues. It's the craziest. It's not always client-based. It's like venue-based, or you can't even imagine. And then I go around the country speaking about wedding, to wedding professionals, and I try to bring some levity to it because we're not, saving lives. We're making people happy, and it doesn't seem to always be that way because a lot of people are demanding.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you're like abused by the end of the wedding?
Yes. In fact, we have an abuse clause in our contract now.
Are you being serious?
Absolutely. We have to, because people don't.
What is the abuse clause?
Well, just people are really rude. Like it takes you.
Yeah.
Everybody wants everything instantly. And the real reason is it's not them. It's like the world is that way because of our phones and because of everything's instant. So like my stuff, I'm an instant replier, but even if the information is wrong, I'll say yes. And it's of course a no. And, but I just want them to feel like I'm there for them, Yeah. However, I do usually know if it's a no. But, however, I'm an instant responder. Kate has to get all sorts of information. She's very factual and a realist, and I'm very much like, we're going to make it work, and of course we can do a wedding on your chimney. Yes, of course. And a prime example is I'll come up with a floor plan for seating, like we did a wedding in California and on the coast, and I said, this is so beautiful, it's going to work out perfectly, and Kate goes, that's the cliff. So I couldn't seat somebody on a cliff. But I said, what a view. I thought, what?
But it would be amazing.
It would be amazing. So you got to have a dreamer.
What is the abuse clause? They can't yell at you?
Well, they just are very conniving and rude. Some people go behind your back and think they can do things without you. Yeah. Okay, and they don't take your expertise, and then it always blows up in their face. And then Kate is the queen of I told you so. And so I'm not really though, because I'm like, it's gonna be fine, we're gonna make it.
Is it like good cop, bad cop?
Yeah, good cop. Oh, absolutely, yin and yang, good cop, bad cop. But it's really few and far between. Most people hire us, and the moms run off into the woods with me, and then nobody knows what day the wedding is. But we make it fun as possible. And we have a lot of professional brides that have big jobs that don't want to plan. So they're like, these are the 4 things I like, make it happen. That's a dream client because
I was going to say, is that your favorite kind of wedding?
Well, not always, because I do want their personality into it, but incorporated in it. So it's fun when they, share, what they're really into, and I'll sort of add that in to the wedding. But it is great because it takes the pressure off everybody, because they do their job, I do my job, and then we have a meeting once a month and it's knocked out. That's really how it should be. Now, when they get involved and think that they know more than you or whatever, and that's fine. They may know more than me about some things, but
not wedding planning.
Not wedding planning. And then you can tell them everything. They don't believe you. Then the day comes and you're like, we told you. I can't tell you how many times Kate texts me and be like, on January 13th, I told them this. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. When somebody calls your office, walk us through if somebody is like, okay, I'm engaged and I've decided to hire a wedding planner, or I'm thinking about hiring a wedding planner. I might see the budget and then say no, but they're thinking about hiring a wedding planner. They call your office. What are the next steps they go through with you? If you have no idea who they are, they're not a celebrity, you've never met them.
Well, right. So, if it's a celebrity, you talk to some assistant who knows nothing, and then you have to figure that all out. But
you don't talk to the celebrity?
You do eventually, but you get this. Eventually. You get a call from an assistant who won't tell you the name of anybody. Then they
I hate that.
Then they fumble.
I hate that. You're like, just say the name.
And I would be the best assistant in the history of the world. After dealing with all this, I would literally be the best. And I would just follow the star around in a tight pair of khakis and just boss everybody. I mean, have this whole thing down. But I know exactly what to say and what not to say. These assistants they don't know anything about planning. So why would you put them in that role? Okay. The first thing they do is we come up with a venue. We start there. And then if they don't, that can take weeks and months to find the right thing. So, they book us like a year in advance normally. And so that's where it starts, with a venue. And then they sometimes have the venue before, and then that's when some problems can come around, because they can have a venue that does not fit them, that doesn't fit their guest count. They booked it without me, things like that. So it's best to hire the planner first to avoid all those, because I can't tell you how many contracts we've gotten people out of that they just barely signed. Like for instance, we did a big crazy wedding in Orlando.
Okay.
And they had guaranteed 375 hotel rooms. Well, they only had 150 guests, but they were timesing that, they were multiplying that by 2, giving everybody, you see. And so we saved them like $67,000 in 12 minutes. They had almost signed it. So there's things like that can happen that are very, very important. And that's the key to a planner. We have built all these relationships with everybody. So they know you're serious. They know we're serious. They're not going to waste your time. They'll tell you because if you were just a bride and you went to a venue, you sign your life away and then you're stuck. That's it.
Okay. Is it like, if someone comes to you and they're like, well, these are my visions, is a Pinterest board helpful to you, or no? Are you not a Pinterest board fan?
Well, if you screenshot a Pinterest board, because if you send me a Pinterest board, you can't click on a Pinterest.
You're not logged in. It is annoying.
You have to log in.
Yeah.
It's awful. And so if they'll just screenshot, and actually that is helpful in some ways, because it gives me a little bit of a foundation to begin. But the worst is when they say, like, I want this wedding.
Right.
And you're like, but you don't. That wedding's awful.
Right.
That's where it comes. That's what happens to me. I'm like,
is there
that's from 1997.
Yeah, like, are there people who present you a vision, color scheme, theme, and you're like, I just can't. I can't work with you.
Well, yes
tell
and
us
no,
who that
but
was.
I do. Right, correct. But color is totally fine.
Okay.
If that person loves the color and I'm meshing with that person and they're great, I'll do anything for them. I'll give them that ugly 1997 wedding. I just won't post it. But I'm saying I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it to them. But they don't really know that. That's just it. That's just my person. And I try to mold it. What I say is I always get my way, but with their color scheme.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that. But at the same time, like, you hired me for a reason. It's got to be amazing. Right. It's got to be amazing. And I don't want to just copy some horrible wedding from, Pinterest. Another thing brides need to watch out for is they'll see a picture of a table and think, oh my gosh, we have to have this. Well, that's just one table that someone did a photo shoot of. So it's not the whole wedding. It's just like one. It's a sort of clickbait. Yes. Honestly.
So having the whole wedding might not be ideal. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
So for this person sitting at home right now who either their daughter is about to got engaged, son's about to get engaged, or the woman has gotten engaged, and they're like, do I need a wedding planner, or can I do this by myself? What are the biggest pros of hiring a wedding planner?
Well, of course, I'll say you need to hire a wedding planner. Yeah. You don't want to do it yourself. It's a nightmare. You want to spend the last month with your daughter or your son or whomever is getting married. You want to enjoy that. And also, it's so nice just to send a text or an email to someone that's handling it. Yeah. Because, even though we don't talk to you every day or even every week, it's our only job. So we have to get it done. Mm-hmm. You've hired us. So no amount of communication is wrong. So it's too little, I should say. So, like, if you text me in the middle of the night, a thought that stresses you out, that's such a great resource to have. You can be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about a guest book pin.
Okay.
Because they saw something on Instagram. Instagram and all that, that's a nightmare. Just like doctors say, don't look online because you have AIDS instantly. You go online and you're like, is this freckle? You've got HIV.
Right.
You've got an hour and a half to live. It'll be your last, I've got a sore throat. Well, it's your last. You know what I mean? So don't, like, online, crazy. And then any kind of like online program, I don't, you know, they always make the brides feel like they're behind. And they're all so rushed. They're so crazy.
Like the Knot, like those websites, you mean?
Well, the Knot's helpful. Website? It's a good resource. Like if you don't know it, if you're starting from scratch, it's a great resource.
Okay.
But those things can make someone that doesn't really know exactly where they are in the planning process, it makes them feel like they're so behind.
Okay.
And everybody wants this big celebrity photographer right now, and everybody wants this person, and everybody wants this, but they don't want to pay for it.
Of course, yes.
You know, and so there's photographers that are, you know, $300,000, and there's photographers that are $4,000, and then there's.
I
it's
think
just
my wedding
crazy.
Photographer was like $800.
Right. It's so different. Oh, it was $100 a person.
Yeah.
When I started planning weddings.
Okay, so right, and I said that to you when we talked before. I said, "Am I wrong thinking that the cost per person? I want to say it was like $120 per person." And you said yes because you said the average cost per person now is for one of your weddings
a lot, like over $2,000
a person.
Correct.
I mean, what is that including? Food, drink, honeymoon,
everything.
Dress?
It should include everything. Not honeymoon, because honeymoon is always variable. And people go to the Maldives now, and then they say they can't afford shrimp, but they end up in the Maldives, and they all have a Range. Everybody's got a Range Rover. What was I saying?
$2,500.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Gosh.
It's a lot. I mean, of course, the world does not have to spend that.
Yes.
But that's what these weddings that you're seeing online, they cost way more than that. That's like, you know, I'm in a Nashville market. So you can't even imagine what the other markets are. I mean, some people have $1 million minimums.
Wedding planners.
Correct.
Wow. Okay, so when you are charging someone, is it like flat fee? Is it hourly?
Percentage.
A percentage of what someone spends. Is that the norm in the business?
That's the norm in the biz. And then we don't charge a percentage on everything, just the things that we are in, that we have our hands on.
And would you pretty much accurately tell somebody what you think they're going to spend from the beginning?
Yeah. So in the beginning, we give them that number per guest, what to plan on. Now, however, I will say the world is, you know, informing people a little better about money, you know, about things. Everything's a fortune. Yeah. I mean, I used to make this joke that I would drive around and find a house that's being renovated and ask them if they have a daughter, because they know how expensive stuff is. Like,
they've been
when
there.
you need a wedding,
yes,
they know. You know, like a doorknob is $7,000. You know, like crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm being exaggerative, but you know what I'm saying. Everything's so expensive. So the world's doing a good job by explaining things. Now, these crazy weddings that people are seeing on Instagram are so much more. You can tell, but I do think that fathers and mothers are doing a little bit more research. And so they're calling us. They know. They kind of know.
Okay.
They know where they are, what they're going to spend.
Okay. So let's say...
and it is huge sticker shock. There's tons of sticker shock.
Right.
But that's with anybody. You've never planned a wedding. You wouldn't know. And of course, disclaimer, you can do all this cheaper, but you're not going to get...
what you're seeing online.
What you're seeing online.
And
we make a joke. Of course, you can have barbecue in the backyard, and of course, you can do this, and of course, you know, and of course, your cousin owns the tent company, and of course, but you still have to pay the people to put the tent up. I mean, you know, it's crazy. And just because your cousin owns a tent company doesn't mean they want to do it for free.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's insane.
Is it kind of like if you hired an interior designer and then you're like, oh, please incorporate my grandma's table, my mom's sofa, and the art that I drew at this workshop I went to last year? Is it kind of like muddying your waters?
Now, I love a grandmother's table.
Would you put someone's grandma's table at their wedding? Like, do you like heirloomy?
1,000%.
Oh, you would? Okay.
I put the grandmother on the table, whatever they wanted. I love I'd run off into the woods with the grandmother. I live for a grandmother. Worship a grandmother. I could sit in a nursing home and kiss them in the face, on their mouth.
They would probably like that. You should start visiting.
Yeah,
you should. You know what you need to do? I'm going to remind me to come. I'm going to say this later when we talk about something else, about nursing home. Okay, so you like incorporating heirloomy type personal things into the ceremony or reception?
Yes,
Meaningful?
love old.
Okay.
Yes, love anything that pulls on heartstrings, anything like that. We do memory walls, tables, things of people that have passed away. We've done that a lot. Oh, wow, okay. And that's really important to some people. And, you know, sometimes I don't, it has to be like has to be cohesive with the decor. So we sort of make it so it doesn't look like we're, went up to the attic and grabbed old frames of, because it's always a grandmother in a dress from the 1800s, and I'm like, she's not here,
Or is she? She might be.
She came on the, it's like she came on the Mayflower.
Okay. Let's just say Betty and Tommy have gotten engaged.
Of all people.
Of all people. They got engaged. Now, what is the first thing in today's day with everybody, like the busyness, the booking, it's like Hunger Games of wedding planning. What is the first thing we need to, I don't know, either decide or book? Like what do we need to do before we start doing all the like fun details? Is it venue?
You need to, venue, photographer, caterer, band.
Okay.
So there's those 4 things because they're the only ones that can do one thing on one day. Mm-hmm. So you have to get those squared away, and the more time you give them, the better, because you do need to book them right away because they're all booked up and they can only do one event a day. So flowers and all that stuff can come later. We don't even do that till later. I don't even step in till later. I start with save the dates and all that stuff, which we'll get to in a minute because invitations and save the dates are enough to kill anyone. So we'll go into that in a minute. And then, but just as long as you knock those out in the very beginning and just get them secure, get a deposit down, and then you don't have to worry about it. And then you can kind of rest for a little bit. You can kind of relax because it's all that stuff's handled. Okay. So it's not as bad.
I mean, so I really wanted to get married somewhere, and the venue it kept being booked. And they said I could get married on a Thursday. That's when I could have it. And I was I don't know why, in hindsight, probably should have done it on a Thursday, but I was adamant I was not doing it on a Thursday. So I didn't get married where I wanted to get married. So in my mind, I was getting married. It was still beautiful. It was like at a yacht club on the water.
Pretty.
But I still felt like I wished I had gotten married at this other venue. In hindsight, do you think venue is the most important? Is your location the most important?
Well, yes. I mean, for about 10,000 reasons.
Should I have gotten married on a Thursday? That's the question. Should I have just done it on the Thursday?
Oh, because a Thursday was the only date available? Well, no, because it's really hard for your guests.
That's true.
No, it's hard for your guests to get there.
They come from work,
and a Friday is all right. We've done some destination weddings where they get married on a Friday, and then the guests have all day Saturday to party and have fun and all that, and then Sunday to regroup and get home. So that can be fun if it's destination. I mean, sometimes you don't have an option, I understand, but Thursday, like a Christmas party, not a wedding.
Okay. Well, it was at a place called Appleby College, which was a private school, and they had their own little chapel. And I'd actually been to a wedding there. It was like a family friend. And what I loved about it was all the pews faced inwards into the aisle. And so Cute. I thought that was amazing, but my mom did not think it was amazing because she thought that then all the guests would have to turn their necks to watch the ceremony, which I wasn't really concerned about. I was just concerned about the walk down the aisle. But it would have been. Well,
you could have dodged a bullet there too to make you feel better. I don't know that you want to put Appleby on an invitation.
Appleby College was the name
of it.
Appleby
College.
Yeah, it was like a boys' school. It was a very pretty place, but yeah.
They would have still had to turn their heads to watch you walk down the aisle.
That's true. They would only have been straight on for like 1 second, and then that would have been
1 second.
It.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this?
But I would have, if I was your planner, I would have tried to push it. Yeah.
You would have? Okay.
Because you wanted it.
Have you heard of this breakfast wedding trend followed by mimosas and brunch?
Yeah. Where they get married in the morning or something?
Like at 9. Or 10.
Yes, I've heard of it, but what a nightmare.
Okay, yeah. I mean...
Everybody looks swollen, eyes are up. Oh, it is not fun. Although I have to say it's great for elderly.
True.
Because that's when they're in their prime. They are ready to go. They can chew an egg. It works out perfectly for them. Everything's soft, a grit. They have oatmeal. It works out perfectly. Then everyone goes to the bathroom and leaves. I mean, it works out perfectly.
You're done
but
by
I just
noon.
don't know. I just don't know if you want to rock to a band at 10 a.m.
No, you don't. You don't.
It's aggressive.
I feel like you're not even really drinking. You're just maybe having mimosas. Okay.
Right, and it's just very, very, very quick. I feel like you just get married. I mean, it could be great for a 10th marriage, or it could be
Right.
great for
vow renewal. What's your
we
thoughts
found
on
we found love at 70.
Yeah,
One of
what is
those.
your thoughts on vow renewals? This is off topic. Well, it's not off topic, but it's off my list of
Well, we
questions.
found love at 70 is really like he's got a 401k and I'm barely hanging on. But the vow renewals, I think it's great.
You do?
I've done a few
Okay.
of those. Yeah.
You have?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're great. Yeah, I think they're fun. And also some people didn't get the wedding they wanted. So
Right.
then with the vow renewal, we can go crazy.
From like a money
And they're-
perspective or...
Yeah, and they got more money then, and they're ready to party, and there's things that are not stressful to them then,
Okay.
at a vow renewal, so they
Okay.
can. It's so easy and fun.
Do you like a DJ or do you like a band?
Band. Don't hate a DJ, just prefer a band.
Really? Okay. I thought you were going to say DJ. Okay.
Nope.
It
just looks like it just looks a little bit more polished and tailored with a band.
Okay.
I like a DJ late night though. I mean, every DJ is going to kill me now, but I don't have anything against DJs. I just prefer a band.
Right. Okay. What makes a bride easy for you to work with?
Well, I've never had a really bad one.
You haven't? This whole
ever.
Bridezilla
No.
stuff? Okay.
Not really. That's kind of the Bridezillas come in different areas of the world. I don't think a Bridezilla. I did have a bride that never responded to us, that kind of stuff. But it wasn't. That's the only. You're working. You're kind of in the dark all the time. You don't really know anything, and then they sneak around behind your back and stuff. That kind of stuff's bad. But sometimes they don't know that they're doing that. Sometimes they just think this is what they're supposed to be doing. Who knows? But never anybody horrible.
Okay. Okay. So we've booked our venue. We've decided we're going to get a band. We've booked the band.
Yep.
Flowers.
Worship.
Okay. Live a flower. Okay. Flower arrangements.
Live.
Is that
Live.
And the other thing I think people will be shocked to find out is how much a flower costs.
Yes, exhausting. We'll just go to the grocery store.
I mean,
it's crazy.
To have someone professional do your flowers is a lot of money. And you'll probably have a friend that says, I can do your flowers.
Then they never speak to you again. That was the last time they spoke to you again.
Don't have your friend do your flowers.
There are people that don't care for flowers or allergic to flowers or don't like flowers, whatever. So they have to come up with alternatives. But now that's just sort of my sweet spot. Okay. I mean, I live for flowers. Okay.
And you have like go-to florists that you would use?
Yes, all over the country. Okay. Yeah. And so it's very important. But yes, it's very expensive. But you're paying for so much more. And then a good thing to know is that if you do have lots of flowers and it's expensive, you're employing all sorts of people. You're employing farmers and people that grow them. You're employing, you're helping lots of people. And I know it sounds crazy just because it's 4 hours, but it's, you asked for the prettiest wedding, so you're going to get it.
Do you like a simple table?
Depends on the client.
Okay.
Yeah, some are real clean. That's not me though, because I feel like at these crazy weddings we do, it should look impressive and it should be fabulous. Now, some people are like, "Whoa, this is going to scare me to death," whatever. But that's not. They would tell you that in the very beginning, so I wouldn't.
Is it important to pick a color theme for your wedding?
Well, it just helps with direction. However, color is back right now in multitudes. So everybody's wanting multicolor. That's the trend right now.
Do you ever go dress?
We went through a whole.
Go ahead.
Oh yes. I've gone dress shopping.
I was going to just say, okay, I feel like I would actually love that job. Not to be a wedding planner, but I would love to go bridal dress shopping.
Well, there are professionals out there that there's like styling services and clients.
And they go with
they have
you?
that clients. Yeah, they go over. They style the whole thing from all the groomsmen to every the mothers, the aunts. You may have a cousin that wears a jersey to formal events, and they tackle that person. So there are people that do that. However, I've had to do the bridal dress or go to the bridal.
Okay.
And I prefer them to get it down to 3 because in the very beginning it can be it's so personal and it can be very, very stressful. But I can say yay or nay. I mean, fashion is so personal in itself. I mean, I wear bell bottoms and feathered hair. And I look like a BG. So
you look amazing. You have your own style for sure.
You angel. But I'm just saying, everybody has their own thing. And so I really do appreciate that. And I love it if somebody wears something funky to a wedding. I'm totally fine with that. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. What is the average? Do you know what the average cost of a wedding dress is?
Oh gosh,
Depends.
there's no way to tell. They're a fortune, and then there's some that are, yeah.
But important. I
There's
mean,
just
don't you think everyone remembers what the bride looks like when they leave a wedding?
Oh, absolutely. And then sometimes the dress, like people talk about the dress more than they do the bride. So, and you'll know instantly when you see that dress.
Okay.
And also it has to do with how comfortable you feel in it. And once you put that thing on, once you put that on, once you put that on, you'll know.
Yeah.
Because if you're confident and comfortable, it'll radiate in it. But if you're a girl that never wears dresses, then you should be in a pantsuit.
What are your thoughts on pantsuits? Have you ever seen?
No, I love a pantsuit on a bride. So no problem.
Really? If a bride said,
problem.
I want to wear a white pantsuit, you're into it?
I would love it. If it was like a Scotta or something. I'm kidding. No, I would love it.
Okay. Have you had that?
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. This is something that is like the least fun thing to think about for a wedding, and that's the budget.
Awful.
Nobody wants to think about it. We would all ideally have unlimited budget.
Correct.
How do you know from the beginning, someone who has never planned a wedding, if they don't have a wedding planner, I mean, where do you begin to figure out, do you just go, I only have this much money, I need to make it work? Or, I mean.
Well, you'll know like the minute you start looking at venues, because the venues will eat up your budget. Catering is very expensive. The minute you go in there, you'll figure it out. And we have to tell people all the time that don't hire us. I mean, people ask us questions all the time, like you. People are asking us questions all the time, and they're like, oh, gosh, I'll never be able to afford a wedding. Oh, I would never be able to do this. And I know it's horrible. There are ways.
Yeah.
I just don't know them all, but there are ways. I mean, you can have less people. I mean, it all has to do with guest count.
Yeah.
You can have, I mean, it really does depend on your guest count. Yeah. You can have, of course, less flowers. You can have, but it's going to look like it.
Yeah.
It's going to look like you, but it's also like, it's not a competition. Yeah. It's love. And people, it's supposed to be the happiest day of their life. So if they're happy, who cares?
Yes.
However, and planners aren't for everybody. And people can't afford planners. So if you can't afford a planner, save the money from a planner and put it towards the wedding, for God's sake,
Right. Do venues, though, like if you loved a venue, do venues have different price options, or no? Is the venue pretty much set on its ways?
Yeah, they used to say like you can get a deal on a Sunday, and then they end up billing you more because it's overtime for the people that can't.
Because it's Sunday and no one's supposed to be working on a Sunday.
They're like, we got $9 off at the end. It sounds like.
Are certain months cheaper than others?
Yeah, there are seasons. Okay. So yeah, you can
spring, summer, popular.
Fall, October is insane.
Yeah.
May was insane this year. May, I couldn't even get vendors to call me back the entire month of May.
Wow,
because they were so busy. Yeah, they could shoot an email being like, I'll get back with you next week, and they never did get back with. But they weren't being rude. They were literally like, I'm drowning.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep up. So.
Okay, save the dates. Those go out right away should those go out as soon as you have picked your date?
Yes, immediately. And it takes a minute to design them. And some people want pictures of them, engagement pictures. So they've got to book that, which can take time. Or some people don't tell you they want pictures until it's too late.
They're already printed.
Yeah, right. Or you give them like some examples and they'll say, yes, I love that. And then you do it. And they're like, I didn't love that. And I'm like, you chose it. So things like that. And then, but save the dates they're not the end of the world, but they do. If you send a save the date to somebody, you cannot ever go back and not invite them to the wedding.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
if your wedding is not for a year. Yeah.
Correct. And you can't be like, oh. And you definitely want to develop your website and all your information on there. That avoids people calling you and driving you crazy and saying, what do you wear?
Okay, so that's
nobody knows what to wear.
We need a wedding website. Everyone has one?
Yes, with all of your information. Everybody has them. Some are free, some are inexpensive, some are expensive.
Is that like on the Knot, that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
They would
you
have
can do
that?
anything, yeah. I recommend someone buying it, though, so that way you have a smaller URL. So you don't have like the Knot, underscore,
okay.
Chrissy and Brad got married. I mean, just crazy.
Okay.
And then a password and all that stuff. It's crazy.
So you would put on there what to wear to the wedding? Would you put that on?
What to wear and all the details of the weekend.
Okay.
Where to go and what to do and all that.
Okay.
The timing and all that. And you can add on to it as the planning goes on, but at least you have it because it does avoid people calling you and driving you insane during your, planning period.
When do how far before the ceremony do the invitations go out?
Well, I've now been mailing them 10 weeks because the post office is so unreliable.
Right.
When it comes to these wedding invitations. And invitations cost as much as lawnmowers.
They do.
Now, so...
What about an Evite?
That's my worst nightmare, but I'm about to go there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could make them kind of fancy, or as a backup.
Yeah, there are dramatic ones, and probably the younger guests would appreciate that more because they can respond from their phone immediately. Right. And it will probably go that direction and get better and better as the years go on. Mm-hmm. But it's just the most formal invitation you'll ever send, so might as well mail it. However, the post office is so unreliable, but miraculously, they will get your credit card bill to you.
Of course they will. Those always come on time. How important is it to put on the invite who the invitation is for? Like, do you put +1? Do you put just, like, if you're inviting your cousin Joey and Joey is single, do you need to put on there like just you, like not a +1, or how do you elegantly say that you don't want to bring a date?
Well, if Joey is not seriously dating anyone, you can have just Joey, but then you run into the fear that he's going to bring a tramp in a red dress who's missing a back molar, who dances in a leopard heel, does her own conga line, drinks at the bar, flirts with every married man, and burps. I mean, you won't believe the people I've come across.
Well, so
and you
how
always
do you prevent that?
They should just be a table of +1s. I've decided. Okay. Just put them all in and let them fight like caged animals at one side of the room. And I'd say that's the +1 table. Actually, wouldn't even number it. I would just call it -1 or something and put it over there. You just never know who Joey's going to bring.
Well, right. And then what does that do to the food and your table settings? If so that's what I'm saying. Can you not somehow say it's just you?
That girl does not eat.
No.
That girl does not eat.
But she's at the bar.
She just eats martini olives.
Yes, she's definitely running up your bar bill.
A disaster. So anyway, you run into that. But if they're not dating anyone seriously, you don't have to give them a +1. Now, there are boys and girls out there that can't go anywhere without anybody, and you're worried about them going alone, or God forbid them go with a friend, that's going to the wedding, which would solve the whole problem. But you would definitely need to add a +1 to those people if they're in a serious relationship. Okay. Yes, like if they're they're engaged, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
So you don't have to, and it's all about guest count. So you can also get out of it that way and just say the venue, we're maxed out, whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now I love going solo. I'm single, so I could care less. I'd rather die than have to entertain somebody at a wedding and be like, "Remember when we played t-ball together? This is Bobby who played t-ball with me. This is Chris. Chris is
that sounds miserable.
Gay and likes. What do you like? He likes ducks. I mean, miserable.
Shoot me. Okay.
Right. Awful.
Hot topic. Kids at the wedding.
My worst nightmare.
Okay.
Because they don't want to be there. The parents don't want them there. And I know, but babysitters are expensive. I know that's a thing. I understand. I don't have children. I applaud anyone that has ever gone through that. I would be institutionalized in a Twilight home. But it's just not the place for them. Right. It's just so formal, and and then they get on the dance floor, and elderly people kick them, and it's just. I think
you make a good point, though, saying they don't want to be there either. They might say they want to go to Aunt Cindy's wedding, but at the end of the day,
somebody's crying. Yeah. And a lot of parents, it's psychological. A lot of parents like to bring a baby for attention for themselves. They love, and they've got social anxiety, so they bring a baby to distract so that someone will talk to them.
Or they're nursing. That might be the exception to the rule.
That's true.
If they had to eat.
That would look horrible in a satin dress. So that could be a disaster. But if that's the case, then you need to provide the milk before you leave, I think, to the I don't know. I don't know how
pumping. Okay.
Yeah, pumping.
I'm kind of team no kids at the wedding too, but I feel like I'm going to get backlash for saying that.
Right, and to put the pressure. Right. Oh, that's totally fine.
Right.
And also, a planner can provide sitters, and you can have a sitter room, and you can go away. We can do that. That's at more expense to the bride, but if it's a deal breaker, we can make that work. That may solve the problem.
Yeah.
Get a kids club going,
right?
With video games. But kids don't do anything now. They just sit on their phones and stare at each other and text each other and say, "What are you doing?"
Right.
They just ask each other what they're doing all day, and no one's doing anything because they're in a Lululemon skirt staring out the window. I mean, nobody's doing anything.
No. Okay.
Nobody's doing anything.
That brings me to another question. Phones at a wedding. We've all seen those photos and things of all the guests with all their phones up filming the wedding, and it looks terrible, right?
Awful.
What do you usually say or do as the rule?
We've had no phones at ceremonies before. Okay. It's just really hard. Yeah. It's really hard not to. It can be a saving grace too, because guys care about sports more than they do their families.
Yes.
So they can be looking at
a game.
Yeah, so they can check the score rather than leaving the wedding to go find a television somewhere. So they do kind of save you there. It's really hard to tell people not to have their phones.
Yeah.
Just because of emergencies and parents. As much as I don't want kids there, I can allow the phones. However, during the ceremony is key to, if you can't make it 20 minutes,
Well, and then you also
put your phones down.
Would worry about people like posting photos or videos of your wedding on social media before you're ready. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So we do lots of signage and make sure it's clear that there's no phones. And sometimes the minister or the officiant will say, please silence your phones. And please make sure this is a no, phone ceremony. And some churches don't even allow phones. Some are very strict.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And those mean church ladies, I wouldn't mess with them. They've got a skirt up to here and a big set of keys. Don't bring your phone. They don't know what one of those keys goes to. They don't have a clue. They've just got a set of gold keys.
They look very professional.
They do, and they could not get a door open if you gave them the key.
They'd just be standing there. Okay, family dynamics at a wedding, and I'm talking mom and the bride, and also you've got two sets of families, two sets of in-laws, both coming together with probably some serious opinions on what you should or you shouldn't do. Or if you have like two different cultures, two different religions getting not that sounds like a nightmare to me in terms of planning a wedding. Mm-hmm. But let's start with the mom and the bride not the mom and the bride. Yeah, the mom and the bride and her mom. I feel like a lot of the times the bride's mom kind of looks at this as like another wedding for her. Would you agree? Disagree?
Oh, yes. I've definitely had several of those. However, sometimes the bride's like, I don't care. Yeah. Just my mom and I have the same taste. Yep. So that helps. And then we have some that don't let the bride speak at all, and then the bride's unhappy. And then there's a crazy cousin that we have to watch out for that's not invited. That they actually, I had one where they had another, like a family close friend who didn't come to the wedding, but they put him in charge of that crazy cousin and took him to a movie and dinner so they wouldn't come to the wedding. Then we've had some that are uninvited, found out about the wedding and then break in. And then we've had some that have like divorced parents, and the dad's like the dad or the mom are uninvolved in the child's life, didn't raise them, or has checked out years ago or whatever, and they are worried that they're going to crash, that they found out about it somehow. So I've had everything under the moon happen. So they all kind of run together, and I don't even judge it. I mean, I don't judge. I mean, I judge in a funny way, but not like, I mean, you can't help it. And the bride, of course, can't help it. And it's just so much going on that it's actually, you just don't want to focus on it because it's really their day. So let's not worry about the people that are so crazy, Well, however, I have to, it ends up being the planner's job to, I've got to like get shot callers out and zap and,
can you like
taser.
Step in for the bride? Can like the bride come to you and say, this is the issue I'm having with my mom or my mother-in-law, or my dad wants to bring his new wife and everybody hates her. Like, is that something, would you deal with that or no?
I wouldn't deal with it, but I would help them navigate it.
Okay.
So, like on the day of the wedding, I've had to keep my eye out for certain things. Usually nothing's really ever happened crazy in all these years. I mean, there've been nervous brides about family members, but nothing I had to like really act upon. We did have to remove somebody once, like with a state trooper.
What? Like a crasher or for drinking?
No, like the cousin that they didn't want to come showed up. So we had them out of there before anything got bad.
Okay.
We got him out of there.
Okay.
But it was so embarrassing because I was like, I can't believe I'm having to kick someone out of a wedding.
state
That isn't like a
troopers in the
drunk 22-year-old,
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. So this was another big question. Is it still customary for the bride's family to pay for the wedding or the majority of the wedding?
Well, it all depends.
Okay.
It's very touch and go. Because you just don't know the financial situation of anybody, and also who wants to host and who wants to take on the obligation and who wants to take on that financial burden, who wants to do it. So we don't always know that in the very beginning,
so it's
and we find
more
it out.
Like who can afford to, basically.
Yes, it used to be traditional that the bride's parents, of course, paid for everything, but now it's all relative. And some bride's parents have passed away, and they have a wedding fund, or they are paying it for themselves. I mean, everybody's got a different financial situation. So, I don't care. Bernie Madoff, as long as it cashes.
Right.
What do I care? I'm kidding. But I'm just saying, like,
He's kidding.
That's not really a...
It's not a thing
That's
anymore.
not really a
Because
deal breaker. No, because you don't know.
Right. And I think it used to be because the idea was that then the husband was going to take care of the wife, their daughter, for the rest of her life. So... Traditionally, yeah. Traditionally, okay.
Yes, but there's so many changes now, and you just can't predict it.
So it's really
everything's expensive. So sometimes the groom's parents are like, "This is a big burden. I'm happy to help."
Okay. Communication.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, communication.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You're like, oh yeah. But is it more normal now to talk about money and things like that? Like it should.
We try to knock it out in that first meeting.
Okay.
We try to knock it out so that way there's no real surprise. I mean, it's always a surprise because people have budget amnesia, we're calling it now. Because they'll say, oh, we never said that. There's lots of, I never said that. But we don't really just go out and do all this stuff for our health.
Okay.
And then say, oh, we don't want to spend that. Now, we will say that's way too expensive. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's sort of where we step in. But then we as long as we kind of have a boundary,
okay,
we call it, like an oh crap number. Like, well, what's the number that, sends you over the edge, and we'll let you know when we get there. Because we have most dads or we're dealing with money, and Kate deals with the dads. And the dads will say, I don't care what you spend as long as it's not over this amount.
Right.
So just once you get to that amount, let me know, and then we'll talk about what adjustments need to be made or what needs to be cut or whatever. And there's certain things that are just astronomical that we're like, this is ridiculous.
Okay.
And we're really good stewards. We're really good stewards of that. Yeah. Everyone's always over budget because they do things that we don't know about.
Okay.
They pay for things that we don't know about.
Okay.
That we don't have any say. Like you could buy like your girlfriend's a Cartier watch, and we have no idea.
Right. You don't know how much money you're spending.
Okay. Right.
Open bar versus cash bar.
Open always.
Always open. Unlimited.
Yeah, because well, first of all, some people don't bring money to weddings. Some people are like, "What? We have to have cash?
Okay.
What? Does anybody Venmo?"
Right.
Can you imagine like 25-year-olds trying to figure out how to pay for something?
Yeah.
They can build a house on a phone, but they cannot do simple tasks.
Okay, I think we had an open bar. I would have to ask my parents, but I think actually my parents paid for the wedding. My in-laws paid for the bar, but then that was kind of like the deal we did. But I feel like we had said to the venue, like whatever the number was, to the max of this, and then come and tell us.
Let us know. Let us know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's still going. That still goes on.
It is.
Or sometimes the groom's family pays for the band or something.
Okay. Yeah, I think that. They did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and my husband always laughs because he is from Scotland, so all his Scottish relatives flew over for the wedding, and they all wore kilts.
How chic.
And his gran came over, and she was maybe, I don't know at the time, 70 something. And she had on like her white orthopedic shoes, her like tan nylons. And she had this red polyester suit, like down to the knees, like skirt suit with the white line. She just looked like amazing glasses. Both his grandmas came over, and she just drank straight whiskey, like no ice, no water, nothing, smoked like a chimney. And she tore up that dance floor all night long. I mean, just in the middle, and she was like the hit of the wedding. But he used to laugh. He was like, no, she's definitely driving up the bar tab, like just her and all the Scottish relatives that had come over.
I would let her do anything she wanted to do. ever. And also how wonderful that she danced and had fun. And
Yes.
that's the whole point.
I think it was.
That's the whole point.
I think it was definitely the point.
I would have paid for her personally.
You and her would have loved each other. You might not have understood her because her accent was so strong, but
Well, I love Scotland and how chic, but how wonderful. And she's the only one that wore the appropriate shoes for the dance floor.
she definitely wore the appropriate shoes. I know. Okay, registering for a wedding. Are we still registering for gifts, or can we just ask, is it like tacky to ask for cash if that's really what you want?
I think certain people mail you cash, but yeah, I do think it's a bit tacky. And I don't like those honeymoon
You do?
funds and all
Okay.
that stuff. I think all that's a bit like, you got married just to get, you shouldn't, we're not trying to profit off our wedding. It's
Okay.
kind of strange. But I do think there are certain people that are old school that do give cash,
Yeah.
but I do think it's a bit of a GoFundMe
Right.
feel if you
So do the
are
gifts, do
asking for money.
the registry instead.
And that's the traditional side of me. Like,
Okay.
I'm like, oh, like in a cash box at
Yeah.
a wedding or something.
Right.
That's horrible. But
I think I had
do
a cash basket on my table that was like for
maybe a
cards.
card.
Yeah, it was
For
a
cards,
card
yeah,
with,
that's different.
with
That's
checks or
different.
something inside.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're fine
But
with
I'm
that?
saying but I've seen pictures on Pinterest of people that have like honeymoon fund boxes where you're supposed to put money. And I just
okay.
feel like, oh my gosh, how insulting. You're going to give us, $1,500 to go to Panama City.
Yeah.
Or something,
Okay. So you still think you should be registering though, like at a home store or something?
Yeah, I think you could register for things that you need, and that's the time to get them. But cash is just a little bit impersonal.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm old school there, I guess.
My mom made me register for China. She kept saying there was a store in
Worship.
Toronto called Ashley's. And she kept saying, you have to register for China. You and John have to go pick it out. And I'm like, he will absolutely not pick it out. So she made us an appointment to go. The problem was she made it the morning after my bachelorette party. And so I got woken up. I was so hungover, went to Ashley's to register for China, wanted to be anywhere else. And she was like, I can't believe you didn't even brush your hair. I looked all disheveled. I probably smelled, and I could not have cared less. And she kept going, do you like this? Do you like this? And I was like, it's fine. It's fine. And she was like, you need to be more invested in your China. And the lady that worked there she was like, do you want a side plate? Do you want a serving bowl? Do you want a gravy tray? I didn't even know how to cook at this point. So I couldn't imagine serving dinner. So I registered for this China. Honestly, I probably maybe was still under the influence because it was so not me. It's like blue and yellow. I still, 24 years later, own the China. It still sits in the same boxes that it came in. I have never even served a piece of food on it, to my mother's horror. But I can't give it away. I can't throw it out. I keep thinking one day it's going to be in style and one of my children
It probably
will watch
is. It probably is now.
I'll send you a
probably
photo.
is.
I don't think it is.
I want to see it. I love a gravy boat.
It's a great. I own every piece of servingware. I could host a 15-person dinner easily.
And that's your formal China, not your everyday.
Well, that's but then I went and bought my formal. I bought like that Abigail's, that fleur de lis, that white, looks like the front. Yeah, that's my China now. So my real China sits in a box in the basement. It's never been used, but I can't bring myself.
You could sell it. You could sell it.
I feel like it's a bad omen. I don't know.
Keep the gravy boat.
Okay.
But it's also a great story too, and the fact that it's taking up space. Somebody would love it.
Yeah. Okay. I think the point is don't register for things you won't use.
Correct.
Or be able to return them.
And just be very practical. Yeah. And a lot of stores will give you the cash, and then you can put it towards something that you like. So you can take all the money for the China and buy a air fryer or whatever people are into now.
What's the rule for spending money on, do you know, it used to be how much you thought the person was going to spend on you at the wedding. You should give them a gift. Did it not? But you're not
probably how close you are to them in friendship, in your mind, probably keep a certain figure for those that, if you go to some people in their 20s go to 10 weddings a year. It's a lot. It's a lot of money. So just try and keep it even.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't think you just give a shower gift. You don't have to give a wedding gift on top of a shower.
You ever plan any Nashville bachelorette parties? Is that next on your radar?
We did that for a moment, and we would rather eat
Snails.
insects.
Yes, snails. Yes. Yeah.
Well, they don't, nobody wants to pay for anything. Nobody can find, nobody knows where they are. Then you're up all night trying to figure out what Becky left her purse. Susan's got an iPhone that's in the river. I mean, nobody knows where anything is. Everybody's in a boot that doesn't fit. They've all got that. Some girls that have those big calves, they can't put those boots on. It's bad. It's bad. It's like the girls at spring break. There's all these cute girls. They're all dressed. And then there's always one sweet, chubby one that's in the back with a pot belly and a big Lululemon skirt.
We're getting canceled
and
for
she's
sure
terrible.
in this episode.
Yeah, sorry.
You're getting canceled. Okay,
Sorry.
well, I think people are not going to be at all surprised to hear what your other side venture you've got going on is, which is comedy, which is not surprising at all after this conversation. And if people follow you on Instagram, they already know that. You've been doing some stand-up at Zany's here in town. You're selling out shows. You're getting these like rave reviews. How did you decide, okay, I think I don't have enough on the go. I'm going to try my hand at stand-up?
Well, it's a long, sordid story. I sort of did it all under the radar for a while. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it because I'm from Nashville. I could sell a comedy club out with my cousins. And so it would be like Thanksgiving every night. Yeah. So I just kind of did it the way I wanted to do it and just didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my family. I finally told my sister, really close with my sister. So I finally told her that I was doing it, and she thought that was wonderful. But I know that you probably know my good friend Leanne Morgan.
Love her.
Who's a comedian.
Yes.
Who's a great friend of mine. We talk every day. And we're both crazy, and we call each other and say, I can't. She's like, can you believe this is happening to me? I can't believe this is happening to me. Can you believe this is happening to me? I don't know what's happening to me. I'm 57. I can't believe it. And all we do is just scream at each other all day and make out. But I would hire her.
You sounded like her when you said that.
Yeah, I can do her whole. I can do her whole act with my arm tied behind my back. I can do her whole act upside down. But she. Years ago, I would hire her for events as talent.
Oh, okay.
And then we just became good friends. She always introduced me, and when I started doing comedy at Zany's in Nashville, she would surprise the guests and come out and then tell them like, you're never gonna believe what is backstage. I have worked like a dog. He's got Evian. Nobody even gave me a Diet Coke. He's got 2 hairdressers. I don't have he's got a spray tan woman touching up. And she's like, I've got a Band-Aid on my ankle. I mean, she's so funny. And, she's met me at an event. And we just she always says we locked eyes and became great friends. And then that's what happened. And then she said, you got to do this because the world needs to hear you, because my audience, you need to tell them they're beautiful, and I'm going to tell them they're going to make it. Because my audience is an age where they're all, empty nesters, staring at each other. Their kids are gone. They're staring at each other, and they're coming to my shows, and they just want some reprieve, just a minute to breathe, in an Easy Spirit shoe.
And to feel seen.
Yeah, and to feel seen, And they're all wonderful. And that's totally my demographic. I love an old woman, and I could get tickled with them all night. And that's why my views are, when you say I'm going to get canceled, that's what the old women say to me. Yeah. They tell me, they feed me all kinds of information. So I look back and I'm like, they really do know what they're talking about. This is crazy. And the world's coming. Is crazy. People are online, trying on clothes and looking and trying to act like they're happy, and they're not happy. It's just crazy. It's a very weird influencer world out there. It's just setting the tone for these young kids. So I'm bringing levity to all that and make it fun. And so people realize like, oh, it's okay if I don't have a Gucci belt on today. Yeah. It's okay if I'm going to, what I'm saying. And so I bring levity to it. And my comedy is all about growing up, because clearly gay is a gravy boat. And I was so lucky because I had great parents and could care less. And I came out of the closet. My mom said, let's start with the living room. I hate these drapes. I need all new drapes. We need ottomans. Thank God it's finally happened. I prayed. I took vitamins. I did everything I could. And so I just talk about my comedy as me growing up and what a funny world. And my comedy's clean. I'm not nasty or anything. And
which I love. You and I spoke a couple of weeks ago from the Delta Lounge when you called me.
I love a Delta Lounge, and I love all the employees of a Delta Lounge.
And finally, I was like, we talked for like an hour. I'm like, we have to stop talking because we need to save this for the podcast. But one of the things I so appreciated when you said this to me, and I was like, I really appreciate it, is that you said my comedy is clean, in that I want you to feel like you can come to my show and bring your mom, and you're not going to be like squirming in your seat or feeling like I'm just like this shock jock kind of up on stage saying the most like vile words I can possibly say. And I was like, I love that, because I can't tell you how many times there's comedians I follow, like let's say on Instagram, and then I go and watch their Netflix special, and I, within the first 15 minutes, am praying nobody walks into the room that's in my family. Or if I'm sitting with my girlfriends, I'm like, this is so awkward to watch with everybody. Like, it's not even funny at that point. So I think everyone will. Yeah,
just really uncomfortable. And people always ask me, they say, are you nervous? Like, they're always, I mean, and people, when you start comedy, people ask you the most inappropriate questions to make you panic. They'll say, do you feel like you're going to die? And I'm like, no, I don't. I've chosen this. I said, but what makes me nervous is if when I play at comedy clubs and the people before me are talking about their private parts and horrible, horrible, horrible things. I'm nervous for the people in the audience. And then I go out and I look like a youth pastor after they go out, and they hug me. We all end up in each other's arms, just rocking each other because we're so happy to have been saved.
Yes.
You know, I feel like that. But not to knock any comedians, because I love everybody and I love to laugh. But you are buying a ticket. You know you're going to a raunchy act.
Right.
So you know you've signed up for that. Absolutely. However, it's such a relief if you're bringing a parent or something, because I try to be really relatable and talk about what things that, you know, matter and that are, you know, really funny. I mean, I've got some snide remarks, but that's all an act and a character.
I love it.
Because I make fun of myself more than I do anything else.
Yeah.
And, you know, I talk about I was thin and frail and skinny. There was, you know, nothing left but an eyelash when I went to drama camp. I was so thin. Growing up, we had to put rocks in my pockets at the doctor's office.
Because you were so skinny?
I was underweight. Oh. I was so tiny. I looked like a freckle. I was just a freckle with a Reebok on. I don't know. I was just tiny. And so I make fun of that. And anyway, well, and you reminded me what I was going to say to you earlier. I said, remind me to come back to this was when you're talking about grandmas and older people. I was saying you should just randomly drop into nursing homes, like, you know, like those people just do that. Do you do that? Oh, you do. You already see it is a good idea. They must love you. I feel like they would love you. I do. Well, and there's a connection. Like if I'll know somebody, like I used to go all the time with my grandmother because I have this fabulous grandmother, and she would go visit people in the nursing homes, and I would go, I could not wait.
Yeah.
I would wear an embroidered sweater that had like a fox on it or something, you know, and I would be worried to death. Like, did we bring enough sandwiches? I would be stressed. I'd have baskets packed. And so it was an innate sense of loving the elderly. Always have. Some people are scared of elderly. I'm like, how could you? They are living little toots.
Yes.
I call them toots.
I love it.
Muffins. I love a muffin.
Oh, I love it. Well, tell us where we can find you on social media.
I'm at Hugh Howser, just my name, on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Instagram mostly. I am on TikTok, which is terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying.
We're all going to lose our identities. Yeah. No telling. There's probably a little redhead running around in a foreign country shopping, having a ball, saying they're Hugh. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. Okay. You can find me on all those platforms.
And your website has your zanies dates, which are...
Yeah, HughHowser.com.
You have to be able to get a ticket first, though, because those sell out pretty quickly.
Yeah, so October 3rd is still available.
Okay, I'm going to come to your October 3rd one.
Yeah, but also look on the website, because some people cancel and fall out and stuff like that. Okay. So you always want to look and see if there's any last-minute stuff. So that would be... August 1st, September 4th, and October 3rd at Zanies in Nashville, which they've been wonderful to me. They have a new club next to the original club called The Lab at Zanies, where everybody's playing. All the big stars are playing. It's beautiful. Okay. It's all brand new, and it's all clean. And they have a really chic menu with, it's not the typical bar food. So they have flatbreads and salads and all kinds of stuff.
All right, cool.
So my bougie friends will come, and all my really healthy friends
can eat there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I've had a ball.
I have had a ball, and I so appreciate you being here today. This was fun. I can't believe we've never met in person, but
this is crazy.
I know.
We probably bumped into each other at Dillard's.
At Dillard's, yes. I was just telling you. You thought my jacket was Chanel, and I was like, it's from Dillard's. But thanks. We'll go with Chanel. No, we won't. We love a Dillard's.
I love a Dillard's.
The Dillard's here is amazing because it's what 5 stories. 6?
Massive. And I love all the employees are helpful and sweet and fun.
It's just a good, it's a good Dillard's. Okay. Well, I hope to meet you soon. And I cannot thank you enough for taking time on your vacation to share with us. So thank you for being here.
I know I look like I work in a
You look great.
woodworking factory.
Well, people just need to see your Instagram page to see you in all your fabulousness. All right.
Had a ball. Thanks so much.
Thanks for being here. Thanks you. Bye.